My name's Bryan Hill. I have been a Christian since I was a kid. Grew up in a Christian household, was really basically taught about Christ, always around people teaching about Christ. My father was actually a pastor growing up, and he was basically a huge influence on my life. He was my football coach, my baseball coach. He was basically everything to me. And about the time that I hit 12, he ended up leaving my family and starting a whole new family. And in the end, it kind of turned me off to God, turned me away from even wanting to have anything to do with God. And so, I basically spent the next 20 years of my life running from God and trying to avoid Him at all costs, up through high school and everything, just doing anything that I possibly could to numb any type of anger or resentment that I felt. A lot of insecurity sprung up from that. Then I joined the Marine Corps and did 4 years in the Marine Corps, did 2 tours in Iraq. And it's funny because no matter how far you run from God, when it really starts to get serious and when your life is really on the line, it's like reflex to jump back to it and say, God, oh, protect me, keep me safe and do this. And through that time, I kind of went all in the Marine Corps mentality. I was a war machine. I would go where the enemy was, and I would do whatever I needed to do. I was a gunner actually on a Humvee the first time that I went to Iraq, and we lost a couple friends of mine over there. And really I came back a changed person, just seeing different things. And so it kind of fed that destruction, that anger, that resentment that I had towards God, which eventually bled over to me being filled with shame and guilt and all these other things that kind of put another wedge in between God and I, to where I felt as if I couldn't go back to Him. He wasn't still there for me. And along the way, God had different people put in place that just spoke life into my heart and just kind of brought me back from the abyss of just running from Him constantly. And when I finally got to a point where I could look back and assess my life, I've realized that the whole time He had been there, the whole time He was reaching out for me in a way that kind of just neglected all the evil, all the anger, all that stuff that I had been feeling towards Him. It was very one-sided. For anybody that's really struggling with coming to know the Lord, I encourage you to realize this, that once you're adopted into His family, once you're a part of that family, it's no longer a scenario where you have to run and feel shame and feel guilt and feel anger and feel all these things like He's not going to accept you. He already has. He wants to look at you, and He does look at you as a son or a daughter. And if you think about your own kids, my kids, when they make a mistake, I'm quick to forgive them. I do teach them a lesson in that, but I am quick to forgive them through it. And I think of it, that same relationship that God has with us, that it's not some random person's kid who's running and acting up and you're so quick to go, no, like that, someone needs to get that kid under control. God looks at you and says, no, that's my kid. I love them, And so instead of allowing that shame and that guilt and whatever you're feeling that's driving you apart from God, away from Him, just realize that that's the thing that He wants to overcome, that He wants to use to draw you closer to Him.